this is by far the best iPod Apple ever made. I'm not joking. Alright, so anyways, this is the iPod Nano 7th generation. And it came out in 2012. They did a color redo, which added just a few more colors in 2015, and it got discontinued in 2017. Now, I got this one for the cheapest I could find one, already cracked. $60 on eBay plus $5 for tax and shipping. And I love this iPod. I'm just gonna say that. Like, some people out there, I've seen videos where they just hate on this iPod and go with the 5th generation as the one they like the best. And there's about 10 reasons, or well, actually no, 10 reasons why this one is superior to literally all other iPod Nano models. And there's a few reasons why they could be better than iPod Classic models. There's very few reasons for that, but there are some reasons. So number one, this iPod, first of all, it has touchscreen, which I find is a good thing. And people complain that their apps are circular and there's a circular home button circle in the middle instead of a square like the old home buttons on iPod Touch. And some other people say that it looks like as if an iPod Touch and an iPod Nano had a baby. But I personally don't hate it. Like, for example, if you go into settings, for example, if I go into general, you can just swipe to get back to the other page. Which, if people haven't noticed, you can do that same on an iPhone. The only thing is that you can't swipe back to the home screen. You have to click the home button to go back to the home screen. But, like, for example, if I were to go general on my phone, you could just swipe like that and get back to the normal page. So I don't see the problem with that. And yeah, I really love this iPod because while it does have touchscreen, the second reason, it has disc mode. I mean, you can use it basically as a USB, meaning that you can still put all the stuff on it, still have multi-touch, still have everything, and you can transfer data. Like, if I had a video I want to put on a different computer, plug this thing in, sync it, and put the video on here, just dragging it to the iPod icon on the desktop, and I can plug it to a different computer and take that right out from the desktop while still having multi-touch. It's amazing because on the iPod Touch iPhone, you can't do that. That's what I love about this thing. And now the third reason I love this thing, it has to do, really, with the fact that the battery life, best of an iPod Nano, and also having to do with the battery, the black spot, which I've covered on most of my videos, the very thing that it means death for literally every other iPod Nano model. Like, this is a bad example. I tried to fix it. This is what happened. That is not the black spot. But if you want to see the black spot, check out one of my other videos. Having to this iPod, mainly the one where I plugged in a broken iPod to my computer. That was this one. So let me just say, this one and the iPod Nano 6th generation, the 6th, 7th, and 8th, if you want to call the one with the color redub an 8th generation, these are the best iPods Apple ever made. Because iPod Nano is because they ever made best iPod Nano they ever made because they don't get that black spot, and I think that's the fourth reason that I also love this stuff is that every single iPod Nano model of this generation comes with 16 gigabytes of storage. Usually you would have to pay extra just to get 16 gigs, and even though that doesn't seem like a lot by today's standards, this thing is perfect because the iPod Touch, or the iPhone, it's not good with 16 gigs because you gotta download apps and all that stuff. But this is perfect because you can all it does is music and videos, even if it doesn't do games. All it does is music, videos, and photos. And that's the perfect amount if you don't have that big of a music library. Like, I used to have like 2. About, songs, videos, 72 videos actually if you include the stuff, capacity. 1.2 gigabytes still available for anything I want to put on here to put on a different computer. And Bluetooth, we'll get to that in a second. And capacity is 16 gigabytes. It always puts it lower, but still 16 gigs. 16 gigs on every single one, so you don't have to worry about getting an 8 gig model or a 6 gig model. Or a 16 gig model. It'll always be that. It'll always be 16 gigs. And now the fifth reason I love this thing. That little white thing right there. That little white thing. Bluetooth. Freaking Bluetooth. The only iPod that isn't touchscreen, which they ever added Bluetooth. And I mean, and by touchscreen I mean like a iPod Touch, really. So this is the only iPod other than the iPod Touch that they added Bluetooth to it. Finally, I mean that this thing works. And if you see YouTube videos online, this thing works with freaking AirPod Pros. Like seriously, though, I haven't got me a set of AirPods, but I'm saving up for that. And I might get 2 of these tomorrow, which we'll fix the screen. I'm gonna do a recording. My summer breaks is on. I'm gonna upload more stuff having to do with this Nano. I promise that. And second of all, and now the sixth reason I love this thing. The sixth reason I love this thing. Oh, actually, before I get to the sixth thing, most people hate on the fact that this thing doesn't have a built-in speaker. Like the fifth generation had a camera and a speaker. But let me just say, like, the camera is a pretty good downgrade. It's a little bit thinner than that one, I believe, but still, this thing is like a little bit thinner, or if not as thin as the iPhone 6, which bent in half, and this thing don't bend in half. Like seriously though, and most people hit on it for not having a built-in speaker. But I'm pretty sure that Apple made up for that when they added Bluetooth, because now you can connect it to your freaking AirPods. I have like 5 Bluetooth speakers I wasn't able to use before my old iPods. Like with this thing, they made up for not having a built-in speaker by adding Bluetooth. They made up for that. And I'll get the camera in a minute, but this thing is great for that. Like most people, like seriously, sorry for the noise in the background if you guys hear that, but oh, heck, that's wrong noise. Frick, my washer's on. Anyways, like most people, but I actually like the iPods without a speaker, because then if I were going to school, for example, like this thing right here, this button in the middle, you can click that, it starts just playing a song. I could get caught in 4K with the way that with having a built-in speaker. That almost happened once. But at school with the 5th generation. And that's what I love about this thing. The built-in speaker, you don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. And another thing now before I get on to the 6th thing I love about this thing. Actually, that really is the 6th thing. I was gonna say the 6th thing is that it doesn't have a built-in speaker. But anyway, the 7th thing, and this has to do, and really, it has to do with the lightning cable. And look, and I know that Apple might go to USB-C for their iPhones in the next year or so, maybe soon. So it's not gonna be around for that longer. But the difference is that unlike USB, like 30 pin, which is what the old iPod used for connector, people have made it so, thanks to Apple keeping the lightning port so far to iPhone 13 at least, because that's when the iPhone 13 came out right now. It's out right now. That's what out right now as the filming of this video. But the point is, people made it so that USB-C can go into lightning connector, meaning that Apple, like on Apple's Macs, for example, they have USB-C ports only, really, and I think now they added an HDMI port. But anyways, meaning I can connect this to that Mac, to my dad's Touch Bar Mac, which is perfect, because unlike 30 pin, you have to like buy a whole adapter, which I'm not even sure exists, just to connect it there. This thing, you plug it right in with I have a whole charger for that thing. That's what I love about this thing. It's got a lightning port, and they didn't do it too late. Cause unlike 30 pin, and I'm not sure you guys know, but with the new bricks, that thing could the bricks they made for USB-C, this thing charges in like 30 minutes or less with that, because of the small battery. That means I got 7 hours of video and like 30 hours of music. Like, this is great. This is the most in an iPod Nano ever, and this is why this one is the best iPod Nano ever made. Now, okay, and actually, that was the 8th one. I think that's the 8th. That was the 8th thing I like about it. But anyways, I'll edit it. Alright. You know what? Yeah, so look. But now, here's the thing. This is the next reason I love this thing. I think it's the 8th. I'm just going to call it the 8th thing I like about this thing. And that has to do with the fact... It really has to do with the buttons. The buttons, really. Because most people, like I said earlier, most people ridicule it for having a circle instead of a square in the middle of the home button. And I don't mind that. Another good thing is that I can just pause my music and actually go through my music without having to look at the freaking display. And right here, for example, this button, you press it, and a song will start playing. And these buttons are actually bigger than the freaking off button, which is great. And they're actually bigger than the ones on my phone. And my phone's actually recording this, so I can't really compare, but in the future I will try to compare. And now the 9th reason I love this thing, and that has to do with music. For example, if I go to albums right here, and it has to do with basically, like, for example, I'm just gonna show an example. For example, right here, is that even though you can't read books on this thing, if you take a picture, for example, of something, you can read it off of there. It's this big. People think it's small, but it's not. It's a perfect size. For example, right here, this one I got lyrics for it. You can read that perfectly. You got it's perfect size. It's a perfect size for my hand, especially. Everything fits it perfectly. It's the perfect size. I love that about this thing. Like, I've always been a kind of person who likes smaller phones and things like that. And this is perfect size for me. And next has to do with videos. For example, let me show. Oh, here we go. Shrek. This thing has the same resolution screen as, for example, like the iPod Classic 7th generation, 6th and 7th generation, meaning that half the videos, as long as they're in MP4, you can put them on here. It works. Like, for example, this is Shrek right here, a pirated version I found online somewhere, I think on Reddit. For example, I just clicked the link, and yeah, it's great. And I already purchased Shrek, so you can't say that it's bad that I pirated, because I already purchased it. So I already put the money in it. Like, my uncle bought it for me, actually, paid him money. But then Apple ID problems. That's the reason I couldn't get it on here. Like, this thing is great. Like, I got Michael Jackson Live, for example, on this thing. It shows live. And now, 10th reason I like this thing, has to do with basically, and this is more personal, but for me, it's fitness. Because, for example, when I do the pacer test at school, like, that alone, and the fact that this thing has Bluetooth, basically, I've been able to get like 8 minutes or less using this thing, because I can able to time it, and with Bluetooth, the teachers don't know. And now, really, I'm not sure if I skipped one, so I'm just gonna say the 11th thing I like about this thing, where it has to do with the fact that it's not a phone. It doesn't look like a phone. It's an iPod. I mean, it does kind of look like a phone, but when you look at this thing, you can tell it's not an iPod Touch. An iPod Touch problem is that it just looks like a phone, and teachers can use it. For example, in my case, teachers at school can use that to try to basically to stop me from using this. But no teachers ever told me to put this thing away. It's perfect size. I've been able to sneak this in at school. I'm freaking watching 5 movies at once while my teachers are doing the lecture. This thing is perfect size, and nobody can take it away from you, because it's not a phone. It's a freaking iPod. And while some people are mad that they took away the camera and it's a pretty big downgrade. Like, you gotta give them some credit. Like, they went full out on this thing after they basically downgraded with the iPod 6th generation. They took away video and everything. this thing is like good enough that Apple really like got they scored a point with that. They brought back widescreen video. That added lightning connector, Bluetooth, and that's why this is the best iPod Apple ever made. And for example, there's one video online, which I mentioned this earlier. Some guy just ranted about how much he hated this thing. I'll put the link to that video in the description if you guys want to see this, but just the fact, for me, just the freaking fact that thing has Bluetooth and it doesn't get the black spot is enough that I fell in love with this iPod. Like, literally, though. I'm glad I wasted almost, well, not wasted, well, I did not waste I spent $65 on eBay to get this thing. Even if the screen is cracked, I don't care. I'm gonna get that fixed later in a video. I will post it. I'm gonna post a video tomorrow. And yeah, that's why I love this iPod. This is the best iPod Apple ever made. Now don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.